It's officially 2023, which means the Cosmic Shake releases in just a few short weeks. And recently, thanks to IGN, we've gotten over 18 minutes worth of gameplay for Pirate Goo Lagoon. Since this is our first time seeing this level, I thought it'd be worth taking a look at everything that was shown in this final analysis video. Just a fair warning, this is mainly just a gameplay breakdown, as there isn't much in the way of Easter eggs or callbacks to the show like I usually try to point out. Cause the only visual ones are the Dutchman's socks from the Shanghai episode, which could also reference the collectible socks in BFBB, the imagination reference from the Idiot Box episode, and pies being shot out of the cannons from BFBB, with the pies as well as Patrick saying, "Oh, but I'm just dying for a little pie," being references to the, well, Dying for Pie episode. The other references are primarily spoken and also represent the Shanghai episode. No doubt one of the most iconic Flying Dutchman episodes, and outside of a slight nod to the sun-bleached episode, that's pretty much it. Once again, and I can't stress this enough in every video, but these cutscenes are so dang good at capturing the show's energy, not just on an animation standpoint, but the music from the show really gives that extra sense of playing through an actual episode. I just wish Mr. Krabs' costume wasn't clipping in and out so much. It's pretty distracting. As for the original music composed for the game, which, by the way, is composed by the original BFBB composers, and I think they did a pretty good job. In terms of graphics, the brightness is definitely not oversaturating everything like Rehydrated's Goo Lagoon, and even the reflection details are nice to look at. The video starts in the Bikini Bottom hub world, where everything appears to be flooded. Cassandra's here, and the location of this portal confirms my suspicion in the previous video that the items outside these portals indicate what level they're from. Now, if you're wondering about load times between the hub world and levels, I cannot give a straight answer on that, cause I don't know what console this was captured on, or if there was any sort of editing done here to shorten the time. But I can say that there is a tiny amount of pop-in upon starting a level. Definitely not as much as Rehydrated had, but it's really noticeable when using the slingshot. I know, pop-in in this day and age is a bit annoying, I get it, but we don't need to bring up Sonic Frontiers every time the phrase comes up. Wait. Throughout the level, we're helping the Flying Dutchman, who's been booted from his own ship again. Man, this guy isn't a very good captain, is he? The reason for this is because of Admiral Prawn, an alternate version of the character that debuted as a mini-boss in BFBB. I'm honestly a bit surprised to see that he showed back up in another SpongeBob game outside Battle for Bikini Bottom, but considering Prawn made his debut in an actual episode recently, I wasn't all too surprised, but I think his VA is still the same from Rehydrated, and I think he sounds better here.
Withered broccoli ahead! Never mind, it's just the Flying Dutchman.
Anyways, the goal is to reclaim the Dutchman's ship, rescue Larry the Lobster at some point, and to get SpongeBob's pineapple back in the process. Cause at this point in the game, SpongeBob's house has been replaced with a different building, which is the same one that we see at the end of the game's initial announcement trailer. They succeed, and then the video ends. That's pretty much it plot-wise, so from here on out, we're just exclusively focusing on the gameplay. Something you'll probably only ever notice with headphones, but with the pirate costume, you can hear SpongeBob's peg leg tap the ground every time he lands. Now that's just a cool attention to detail. Thunder Tikis now have a bit more functionality to them in terms of affecting the environment to reach collectibles. However, the shadows start flickering every time it happens, so I would imagine this would be something that would get patched out before launch. NPCs outside the main cast actually interact with SpongeBob this time around, although some of them will say the same things every time you pass by, which might get annoying depending on your tolerance for it, but others seem to be tied to certain actions. Either way, I like this a whole lot, and I feel like it's going to be possible to give this guy a push. Throughout the level, there's beaches, coves, sandcastles, and pirate ships to traverse, before reaching Prawn, who's the boss of this level. I put emphasis on boss cause you don't really fight him. Instead, you're just fighting his crew, so that was a bit of a letdown. At least the music made up for it though. But I will say that up until this point, I was very concerned with the enemy variety in this game, cause all we've seen was the standard enemies, the Tartar ones, which like to stay up high, the appetizers, I'm sorry but I cannot unsee the similarities. And then there's the guys with the bathtubs, with another enemy type seen at the end of the initial reveal trailer, popping up here in this gameplay, and it performs basically Sonic's spin dash. A couple of new ones did pop up here though, which eliminates my initial concerns. There's one that floats before slamming the ground, another one with a lollipop which throws deflectable enemies at you, but also deflects SpongeBob's new bubble bowl to prevent it from being captured. They can still be captured, I'm just not quite sure what makes it so you can. But there's a concern I've been seeing floating around, and it seems to be about some enemies, not all of them, taking multiple hits to defeat compared to BFBB. Now, I honestly have no issues with this idea because BFBB did have quite a few enemies that took more than one hit to defeat. Tartar, Arf, Slick, Sleepy Time, and the Tubelets are a few that come to mind. But I will say that SpongeBob's standard attack range needs to be increased just a little bit, cause right now it seems you gotta get a bit too close to these guys to hit them. Speaking of adjustments, in my last video I took criticism with the fishhook swing due to it being almost identical to Rehydrated's reeling in motion before actually swinging. Well, that's still here, but in between swings, it seems to be a lot smoother, much like in the original BFBB, and I'm glad to see that. The rings we seen during the release date trailer don't have flames this time around, but they provide a boost when gliding with the pizza box. I still wish they could have animated the pizza coming out of the box though. But the air surfing we seen before has nothing to do with these rings. They just pop up to make getting around a bit easier. And it's nice when the game expects you to combine all these moves and mechanics together. Button mashing is also a thing in this game. Not the buttons you gotta actually slam to activate. I'm talking about tapping the same button multiple times to complete certain sequences. I'm okay with this. There's also a coin on this building, and we still don't know what they or the jelly orbs are even used for. Lastly, the projectile indicators changed from moving drop shadows to fixed pulsing red icons. And with that said guys, this is gonna wrap up the final analysis for the Cosmic Shake. It's been a long journey and I couldn't be happier to have had you guys along for every step of the way. As always, what do you guys think of the game so far? Be sure to leave everything down in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell for more Cosmic Shake content coming your way soon. And once again, I've been Blue Knight. Thank you guys so much for watching and for the constant support. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys back here next time.